What's up, everybody? Trix Ridiculous back with another video, and Marvel's Avengers Crystal Dynamics has put out a February development update. Now, you've probably already seen it, but I wanted to talk about it and really what it means for the future of the game. Before we do, be sure to do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe if you're new to the channel for more Avengers content. Those are great ways to support the channel, and I really appreciate it. But without further ado, let's jump right in. Now, right off the bat, they do tell us they know that we're waiting for the roadmap and they are yet to, they're not ready to reveal the roadmap yet, but they wanted to share some news on some of the upcoming updates. All right, now basically this can kind of be broken down into like three different things. Firstly, Nick Fury is actually returning as an NPC, and he is going to, I guess, coordinate future Avengers initiative missions alongside Maria Hill. Now, it'll be interesting to see how they bring him back. We do have confirmation. I don't have the actual post pulled up, but in the Discord, one of the developers did confirm that there is a modicum of story content, not necessarily a story mission, but a little bit of probably just a cutscene or something very minor about how Nick Fury comes back. It seemed to me like they were actually setting up a bit of a story for Nick Fury, but I'm guessing that probably got scrapped just to bring him back as an NPC. But honestly, I'm okay with it. Really, what it's going to come with is a rework to the war table and the mission select system. Now, I'll admit this wouldn't have been, my highest priority item. I don't think there's really anything super wrong with the war table or the mission select. I will admit it's a little bit of a mess. It's kind of all over the place. But for experienced players, it's really not that big of a deal. But I can, just keep coming into this with a completely open mind. I can see how it is a bit confusing for newer players, and it would be probably tough, figuring out how to level up and things like that. So I can totally respect that. We'll have to see what it looks like, but I hope they haven't really spent too many calories, putting dev hours into that. Hopefully it's just a nice, cleaner looking model, and then really won't have too much of an impact on gameplay. The other big thing is that they're going to add a lot more units to the unit economy. So a lot of adjustments in terms of units, how we're getting rewarded units for end game activities, and just more units just in general flowing in. Because right now, you guys probably all know, units kind of suck, right? I mean, some of you may just have 999,999 units anyway, and that's fine. But for, those who don't, the grind to actually get units to try to get the monthly specialty items in the shipments, it's a real pain in the ass. And it's really, it doesn't reward you for actually playing the game. There's like a few specific farming routes in the vaults that maximize your grind. And that's it. Anything past that is just a waste of time. So it's nice to see that we'll just be getting more passively. It really should just be a passive system. There shouldn't be any type of specific grinding that gets you units, just the way in-game currencies like that work. It should just be generally playing the game more will overall give you a higher number. So that's a pretty good update there. The other thing is they're extending the per hero system to the Mega Hive. So you'll be able to complete the Mega Hive once per week per hero, not just once per week. Why this is only being extended to the Mega Hive and not also, the priority mission, I don't know. It looks like they're just trying to spoon feed a little bit at a time. In my opinion, time gating as a whole should be gone completely. Just let us play the game. But whatever. If you play Mega Hives, I really don't play Mega Hives anymore, but if you're someone who's looking for something specific in the Mega Hive, go crazy. You can now find it on multiple characters. And then, just in general, bug fixes, stability for the raid. That's, we've already seen that they struggle with bugs. We know this. They've specifically listed out bugs that were claimed to be fixed, and those exact same bugs were still in the raid and worse than ever. So, I mean, I understand that the devs don't want the raid to be a buggy disaster, but the fact is it is a buggy disaster, and it should be a top priority to get the stability of that working properly. So that's, good to hear that they're still working on it, although to me that should be more of a given than something in, your development update. And then this little line here that they snuck in, player feedback on where we need to make tuning adjustments. Now, what does that mean? That means nerfs, right? That means damage buff getting nerfed. We already know that that's something coming. They're masking it as player feedback. I can tell you 100% it is the very minute minority of players that are actually asking for damage buff to be nerfed. Most of us just want to have fun with the game. But I mean, as a completely neutral player, damage buff is overpowered. It's extremely overpowered. I don't know how they're going to nerf it, because in my mind, even if they cut it in half, right, because it currently does 60% flat damage and 35% crit chance. If it did 30% damage and 15% crit chance, it would still be a mandatory perk. So, it's going to be tough to see how they nerf it. I've always said, and this is obviously not easy, but they should focus on, rather than nerfing, buffing, right? They should buff other things. They should make other perks, support perks, tank perks, that you would want to have on other characters that make it so that damage buff is not always the best choice, right? Because like I said, right now, even if they nerf it, all other things considered, if they just tune the numbers down, it'll still be something that you always want to have up on your character, right? So that doesn't really solve the issue. They could do other things like changing the duration, right? Changing the duration to damage buff, or the percentage chance to actually proc it. That way it's a little less consistent. It may be harder to keep it up at all times, but you can still get that big burst damage once in a while. So a little bit of a high risk, high reward. Those are just some ideas off the top of my head. Like I said, obviously it is easier said than done. But we know that that's probably something that's going to happen. Other than that, that doesn't, that's pretty much all we're getting. So really nothing. This is coming in March at some point, sometime in March 2022. So definitely, be expecting that shortly. Other than that, though, still nothing on the content front, which, we still need to see. I know I just put out another video, highlighting how we're not really sure what the future of the game looks like. My prediction is that it's not going to die outright, but content is just going to come at a very slow pace, really pretty much the pace we've, seen it through 2021. That's basically the pace we should expect to see through 2022 and beyond. So, when we see that roadmap, that'll give us a better idea of how much content we can expect, obviously, and the frequency and frequency of updates in regards to content. So we'll see if that prediction comes true. However, this really does, just in general, give a lot of hope that they are not giving up on the game, right? It's very clear that they're still working on a lot of foundational stuff. They're really trying to make the game, at its base and core level, some of the core systems work as well as they possibly can to build more content upon. So realistically, I mean, when you see things like a mission UI update, right? Like a UI update for your mission select screen is not something that you spend time on, spend development hours on for a game that's shutting down in 6 months, right? Like that is not something you do. So this, like I said, this gives me hope that, the game will continue, even if it continues at a slower pace than, we maybe want. Of course, everyone's always hungry for more content, but, we'll see what the future holds for the game. But overall, this was a good piece of, information that we've received, some interesting information, but honestly, just better than nothing, right? More than anything, this is what we want to see from a communication perspective. And I understand that the developers can't share everything, but they could. Realistically, they can share what they want to share. And it's great that we're getting, even just this level of information or detail about the next patch. And we need more of this, even like we see here. I mean, nothing here is anything so groundbreaking that it's, breaking the internet in regards to this game, but just something to let the players know that, hey, like, we're still here, we're still kicking, like, you can expect more from us down the line, right? So that alone is going to give players more hope than anything. But anyway, that's it for me. Just kind of wanted to recap my thoughts on that, kind of what is ultimately in this update, and really, like I said, what it means. And overall, I think it is very good news for the game in the long term. But that's it. If you learned something, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, join the Discord down in the description for LFG and other Avengers updates and news. And that's really it for me, guys. I will see you in the next one.